Hi everyone, this is Jim Navati with Sterling Trader. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. We're pretty excited to talk about what we've been doing in 2016 and specifically about the launch of version 10.0. Version 10.0 has a lot of exciting stuff in it. It has the biggest things are the new look and feel, more cleaner lines, a modern color scheme, and a high-performance charting package. So we're excited to get in, and in just a second I'll jump into the platform and start talking about specific functionality details. I wanted to start by talking about what we've been up to at 2016. Version 10.0 is the result of a year and a half long project to completely overhaul every aspect of our trading systems. If you look at this kind of high-level timeline of what we've been up to this year and what we have planned, there's a lot of big stuff in here. The first quarter we finished a year-long project to upgrade all of our Chicago, New York, and Hong Kong data centers. That's important to you as traders or you as brokers, because that means that every piece of equipment that hits your order and hits your market data is new. Everything's running on the latest hardware, latest operating systems, as high of speeds as possible. We also implemented a new database architecture. The reason that's important is because the new database architecture has significantly higher performance in terms of messaging rates and throughputs. I'm listing a pretty conservative estimate, but we quote as a 5 times improvement in messaging rates. We also launched Hong Kong and Shanghai equities trading, which is exciting. It's part of our bigger picture of internationalizing the platform. As those of you who are existing clients and familiar with Sterling, you'll know that we operate in U.S. equities, options, and futures, including complex options, Canadian equities, Brazil equity options and futures. We do equities in Europe, and now we do equities in Hong Kong and Shanghai. In the second quarter, we upgraded our options market data feeds as well as our equity book data feeds, and we introduced a new low latency fix API which supports up to 10,000 orders a second. Most of our traders on our system don't need that low latency of product, but the point is, if you need a fast fix API, ours is fast. And then that brings us to the third quarter, which is now. On August 1st, we launched Sterling Trader Pro version 10.0. We're excited about that, and I'll get into that in just a minute. The big thing, one of the big system things there is the new charting package, which has a new charting control, which is roughly 20 times faster than our previous controls. What that means to you as a trader is that if you're a trader that looks at a lot of charts and manages a lot of data on your screen, running 20 instances of our new chart is the system equivalent to running 1 instance of our old chart. So in terms of system resources, throughput, it's all significantly faster than we've ever been able to achieve before. We have interesting stuff coming up in September as well. In September, we are, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're releasing upgrades of our level 1 equities data feeds. We're switching to new lower latency data feeds, which should increase the speed of market data throughout the system, both in level 1, level 2, charts, time and sales, everything that's driven by the level 1 market data. And then at the beginning of September, we're also launching a new algorithmic order entry window. We're really excited about this. It's the first of many tools that we're launching that's geared toward more institutional traders. But we have a new algo order entry module coming out, and we think you'll get some more information from us in the next couple of weeks. But we believe it's the most intuitive and easiest to use algo order entry window on the market. So we're excited for that. We have other stuff coming up in Q4 that we'll talk about as we get closer to releasing it. But the one point I wanted to make here, and I listed our contact information here, and I'll give you our contact information again at the end of it, is we want to know what tools you need. If you're a trader, we want to know, are there products that you want to trade that we don't offer? Are there studies on our charts that you want to see that you don't see? Are there tools or modules that you need, that either we don't offer or, you think we could offer better? We want to hear from you. We are a technology company. Our traders, are our most valuable asset. We want to hear from you. Similarly, if you're a broker, if there are tools or products you need to bring in more traders and help grow your brokerage, don't be shy. We're all partners. We're in the same business. I'll give you my contact information as well as additional client service contact information at the end. So for now, I'll switch over and start talking about version 10.0. So for version 10.0, traders who are used to the system will see that this is a very, very big change from what we've done in the past. It's a different layout. It's a different color scheme. It's more, we think it's a more modern look. So before I jump into functionality, I want to talk to the traders who have been with us for years, who know and love Sterling Trader Pro, and are used to, what we're now calling the classic look and feel. We understand what traders go through. We understand that traders are creatures of habit, and that you make your livelihood based on your trading platform. So the very first thing I want to show you is everything we did here we think is great, but if you don't want to use the latest color schemes, if you're used to what you're used to, that's fine. You can run Sterling in what we're now calling classic mode. So if you go to View and then Settings, you'll notice there's a checkbox here called Classic Mode on the main window of settings. If you check that, I'm going to show, and I'm going to actually walk through this now just to show our existing traders how fast it is. But if you check the Classic Mode box and you hit OK, you'll immediately get a pop-up that says application must be restarted. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to exit. I'm going to go to my Sterling Trader Pro icon, and I'm going to launch in Classic Mode. I have a different layout for Classic Mode because it's slight, and some of the windows have slightly different sizing than the new ones. But you'll see, this is the trading system that you're used to using. This is, regular Sterling Pro. Only difference is, a few differences in icons. But it does let you take advantage of the new charting package and all of the new functionality. So I'm going to get out of here, but I did want to just talk to the existing traders. We understand traders are creatures of habit. We want to make sure that while we introduce a lot of things that we think are exciting, we're not alienating any of the guys that have been with us for years. All right, so I'm going to start off just by giving a short overview of the basics of the Sterling Trader Pro trading system. We have a lot of new traders looking at the system, as well as people that are interested in just the new functionality. So I want to just kind of talk to everyone and give a quick highlight of everything. So starting from top left to right, in the top left I have the new charting package, which I'll go into more depth in just a minute, followed by a time and sales, followed by a level 2 window. Underneath that, my position summary window and my trading monitors. I'll talk about each of these windows in light detail in a minute. Followed by a stock watch, which is just a list of ticker symbols and market data. You can see not a lot's moving since we're looking at this, since I'm doing this WebEx after hours, and a top 10 list. Followed by exchange alerts, a system clock, and the Sterling Trader Pro main toolbar. So for those of you that are new to Sterling, the main toolbar drives everything. So while I have a layout here that's designed for a webinar purpose to fit everything on one screen, if you want to open up new charts, new stock watches, new time and sales, new order entry windows, basket trading, futures, options modules, everything is launched from the main toolbar. Similarly, in the settings, all of the global controls are set at the toolbar level. There's a little more, there's a lot there, so we won't go into depth for the purpose of a webinar. but I just wanted to give, for people that are new, that's the main toolbar is the control center. I'm going to do charts last, but I want to talk about the other windows. Time and sales window in the upper middle. The comes set with a series of defaults. By default, we're showing you only trades for all markets. There's a lot of customization you can do in terms of, do you want to see trades? Do you want to see quotes? Do you want to see everything? Do you want to see more than one symbol? The point isn't that, the point there is really just it's customizable, so you can configure it however you want. Time and sales window, we've got the basic level 1 information and the symbology. Traders that are used to Sterling will note that the defaults for 10.0 have a different look and feel in terms of the color scheme. If you don't like that, or if you're used to your regular version, simply go to View, Settings, and uncheck the flip text and background colors, and you'll go back to the normal default of the classic color scheme for Sterling Trader Pro. Again, the point is to make this as user-friendly and customizable as possible. Moving on to the position summary windows. Position summaries will show you exactly what it says, all of your position level information. It'll show you the accounts you're trading in, the symbols, your active positions, your position average price, and then your unrealized P&L, which is your P&L on open positions, realized P&L, which is obviously realized your P&L on closed positions, and then your total P&L, which is simply the combination of your realized and your unrealized P&L. Again, like other windows, everything in here is customizable. I'm showing what are some of the most common settings, but you can, if you look through, you can see there's a number of variables you can add depending on what you care about, as well as you can drag and drop and move columns around. The trading monitor is a similar function. You can go into settings and get pretty deep in terms of the type of information you want to see on each of the individual tabs. But basically, trading monitor is a trade plotter. It'll show all of your trades on the day, whether it's an equity trade, an options trade, or a futures trade, and then it's tabbed across the bottom. So you have all orders, which is every order you've placed today, open orders, which is only what's open today. You can see an Apple that I placed earlier, and then your line item detail of every execution. You can click on either the execution or any of these, and then you'll get a line item order. You'll get a order history of the trade. So you can see, in this case, I did a buy 100 stem at 2.25. I placed the order, it confirmed and filled all within the same second. Moving over to the stock watch. Stock watch is simply a ticker list. It's one spot for you to organize all of the market data, all of the symbols that you want to track quickly and easily. Again, like the other windows, I'm showing some of the most common data elements, but there's a menu so you can go in and show a lot more, just depending on what you as a trader care about. I'm listing just some indices at the top, and then some of the most active equities at the bottom. You can also include futures. I'm doing U.S. equities. You can do Canadian equities, Brazil equities, European, Hong Kong, and Shanghai equities as well. And then last, before I jump into charts, below, I'm listing a top 10 window. This is the top 10 most active NASDAQ securities on the day. It also does, it'll do biggest gainers, biggest losers, and you can do it based on all of the different listing exchanges. For purposes of screen space, I'm just doing NASDAQ right now. For new traders, our old traders will already know this, but for new traders, one of the things I wanted to point out is the concept of linking windows. So linking windows is just a way of organizing groups of windows together. So if you look up at the chart, you'll see there's a 1 in parentheses here. If you look at the stock watch, the NASDAQ most active, and the time and sales in the level 2 window, they all have a 1 in them, which just indicates that they're all in linked group 1. What that means is that you can change and bounce around from window to window and update your chart and your order entry ticket at the same time. So if I'm looking at the NASDAQ most active and I want to see what's happening with Siri, for example, I can double click on Siri and my chart, time and sales, and level 2 order entry window will update. I can do it from if I'm looking at a position window and I want to see what's going on in spiders because I have a short position, I can double click on spiders and I can pull up a chart and all of my market data. The point is, just we're trying to make everything as intuitive and as user-friendly as possible to make your lives easier. Jumping into, I'm going to switch gears here and start talking specifically about the new chart. The new charting package, aside from the look and feel, is really the big functionality launched in version 10.0. So I'm going to make it a little bigger just to make it easier for everyone to see. And I'll cover up, I know I'm going to cover up some of these other order entry windows, but I want charts to be easy to see. So the goal of the new charting package was really twofold. Make a charting package that is significantly faster than anything we've done before. Make a charting package that has more studies and more flexibility than any other charting package available with a trading system in the industry, which we've done. The new charting package has a total of 80 charts and 8 studies available within it, which is more than anyone else. And then 3, just make it completely intuitive. The way we made it intuitive is everything is either available at 1 or 2 spots. Either you can see it right here, meaning you can see clearly 1 minute through a 1 minute chart versus a 5 minute chart versus an hour chart, daily, weekly, monthly. Is obviously very intuitive, and then a list of all of the studies are here. So you can either make any changes you want here, or you can right-click within the chart itself and do the same thing. So everything's available in either one of 2 spots. You either see it here and it's included in the main chart menu, or you can right-click here and get to it. So in terms of just kind of basic functionality, starting from left to right, you set your chart time frame. We'd go anywhere from 1 minute granularity to monthly. You can then go, I'm going to switch to, I'll leave it at 1 minute. And then to the immediate right of that, you have a list of all of your chart studies. There's 80 chart studies total, excuse me. Right now I'm just looking at a minute candlestick chart with a volume study on the bottom. If I want to get rid of the volume study, I just right-click on the X and I kill the study. If I want to go in and add one of the studies, like say just something very, very basic for illustration purposes, say I want to add a simple moving average. I pull up the study in the list, I click Add to add indicator, I select whether I want it to run off the open, high, lower, close. I'm going to stick with close, which is the default. I select the number of periods. You can do your custom periods based on your time frame, and then you can select the color. I'm fine with the default, so I'm going to leave that, and I'm just going to hit apply. And then you can see that added it, and it did it as an overlay because simple moving average is an overlay chart. I'm going to go back in also and add back volume, in the same process. Anything can be, any of the studies that are secondary studies like volume, you can then resize and manipulate and move around to get the visual display you want. Once you have a study, you simply, it's obviously it's added as an overlay. You simply, if you want to make changes, you can right-click and make changes to the colors, or you can just right-click and say, nah, it's not what I wanted to add. I delete it. So it's very, very, it's very user-friendly, very quick and easy to add studies. The buttons moving further across the top are also very intuitive. Just this is how you move around in the chart. You can move around in your minute intervals. You can page left, no different than working the remote on your, on your computer, or on your TV. You can then, zoom in and out of charts based on, what information you want to see. Anything that's not available up top is available by right-clicking. You can right-click and add indicators. This is just another way to add studies. You can right-click and do additional studies. So there's line studies. So for example, one that everyone understands is a trend line. So if I wanted to draw a trend line, from here, I simply start at the bottom, left-click, and then let go, and then I've drawn my trend line. Once I have a trend line, I can then click on it and either make changes to it and move it around, or I can make changes to the color, or I can just say, no, that's not what I want, and I can delete it. Again, the point is just, we've tried to make everything as intuitive as possible. In addition to line studies, you can do different intervals, which you can do at the top. You can also do different bar studies if you don't want candlesticks. You can do an open, high, low, close chart. You can also do a linear chart, depending on whatever what your individual preference is. I always leave things at candlesticks because that's what makes the most sense to me. You can also do different price styles, so you can leave it standard, which is what we have now. You can do point and figure. You can do things based on volume. Again, just whatever, all based on what makes sense to you. So again, the big takeaways here are just that, we've tried to make the new charting package as intuitive as possible. Anything you could do in the old charts, you can do in the new charts, and then, and obviously contact us if you have questions on, on figuring out where functionality exists. The last piece of functionality, and then I'll move on from charts that we did in this one, is we introduced the concept of tab charts. We think tab charts are interesting because it's just easier to navigate rather than looking up a symbol. As you trade throughout the day, as you look up symbols, you're just building charts. So it's simply a matter of clicking around, looking at the symbols that you want to look at, and anything that you've had during the day. So if I do so say for example, if I pull up something that I haven't looked at, like Groupon, when I double click on it, it'll bring it up in the chart as a tabbed window, and then I can flip back and forth to whatever I've done before. That's really essentially, the bulk of it on charts. I'm going to cover, for some of the new traders to Sterling Trader Pro, I'm going to cover a couple of additional functionality items. I want to talk briefly about setting defaults, and I'm going to talk briefly about hotkeys, and then I'll wrap it up for this webinar. So for new traders, our existing traders will already know how to do this, but for new traders, I want to point out some of the defaults that you can do in terms of setting your order entry windows. The way I have mine set up is that I have it set up so everything's in my default trading account, which is STI, and then I'm defaulting everything, all of my order routing destinations based on listing exchange. Depending on where you're set up to route and who your broker is, you'll have a different list than mine. Mine is a very basic list, just of the exchanges. But you can see if I switch to Apple, which is NASDAQ listed, you'll see I have my order entry windows switched to route to NASDAQ. If I switch to BAC, which is NYSE listed, then I'll switch to route to NYSE. EWJ, which is ARCA listed, will switch to route to ARCA. It is you don't have to do it that way, but I want to point it out because it's not always intuitive functionality. It's somewhat hidden controls. So if you want to work, if you're a new trader and you want to work on setting defaults, I'm going to give you the contact information for our help desk at the end of this. Please reach out to our help desk, either schedule a training session or ask one of the guys. We'll be happy to walk you through how to configure everything. And then the last thing I want to talk about for new traders is setting hotkeys and also hot buttons. So in Sterling, we have the concept of trading with hotkeys. It means, hotkeys are essentially keystrokes that let you send trades and do other functionality without using your mouse. Not everyone wants to be a point-and-click trader. Some people want either keyboard shortcuts, or we have traders that don't use the mouse at all. Once they log in, they trade purely from their keyboard. They like it just from a speed standpoint. So within the hotkeys, you'll see there's two types of hotkeys. We have the hotkeys at the top in white. These are custom hotkeys that you can create yourself. And then we have hotkeys below that where you'll see they're in blue. Anything in blue is pre-programmed functionality. It's all meant to be, we're happy to talk about any hotkeys, but it's typically, fairly easy to determine what they are. So for example, cover all is cover all of your positions. Cover long, cover short, or covering your long and short positions. Cancel all, it cancels all your orders. Cancel all buy, cancels your buy orders. Cancel your sells, cancel your sell orders, and so forth. It's fairly intuitive. We also have the ability to set custom hotkeys. So I'm double-clicking on the one that I have that I call Sell 100. I call it Sell 100 because it's to sell 100 shares. You can hard code these based on symbol, based on account, based on destination. I have it set to use whatever controls are in my normal order entry window, just with a sell of 100. So to execute this, I would hit F1. To execute my buy 100, which is the same thing on the reverse, I would hit F3. So in addition to doing hotkeys, you can also do hot buttons. I'm going to pull up my hot button bar, which I've pre-configured for a couple of hotkeys. A hot button is simply a graphical way to implement a hotkey. So I'm going to I'll switch to Microsoft. Microsoft in our demo system is a test symbol, so it will stay open. And I'm going to say buy 100. I'll place a couple orders through Microsoft. There you can see they're open orders. They're open on if I flip to my open orders tab, you'll see they're open in my trading monitor, and they're open and represented on my level 2 window. And then when I click cancel all, that'll cancel all of the Microsofts. If I hit sell 100, I'll place a couple orders there. And you can see I'm doing those at the ask price. I did my buys at the bid price. I cancel all, and it cancels, and it cancels everything out. I'm not going to go through in depth on hotkeys in the webinar, but for new traders, I wanted to introduce them, let you know that you're there. I'd encourage you, if you're interested in them, talk to us about setting up in our demo system. We'll give you a demo account that you can play with, get comfortable with everything before you move over into production trading. And at that point, that is the end of the webinar. I want to provide our contact information. My name is Jim Navati. I'm the president of Sterling Trader. My direct line is here, and my email is here. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. We also have a very veteran client service team. I think our client service team is the best in the industry. Our client services takes a lot of pride in working with traders, working with our clients to give the best experience they can, and to provide the best software support we can. Any questions you have, any configuration or any training you or your traders need, please don't hesitate to reach out to client services. Lastly, would love to have everyone follow us on LinkedIn and register for our newsletter to get latest updates. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of interesting stuff coming down the pipe. We have new low latency market data feeds going out. We have a new algorithmic order entry module. There's a lot of stuff planned for Q4. We are very much in growth mode and active development mode. So please, we want to hear from you. Please follow us and stay in touch. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and have a great day.